Everybody, how you doing?
Woo!
Happy 3/11 day and welcome to PHLY Flyers post game. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games for the evening. Joining me here live in the Xfinity studio, it is Mr. Flyperbole, Steve Jaco. Charlie O'Connor will be along on the Xfinity Mobile call-in line at some point or another. Flyers win 4-1 over the Capitals tonight down in South Philly. And it wasn't like the highest event game, but it was a pretty entertaining game. We got some, no brawls or anything, but some contentious moments. We got, 4 goals with the empty netter, highlight goal there with Tippett and Zegras teaming up. TK scores on his birthday. Drysdale gets another. Sam Ersson didn't stink. What a time to be alive here as the Flyers keep those. They came in with a 2.9% chance to make the playoffs, as according to Money Punk. Got to believe they went up now that they are not only percentage points but also total points tied or ahead of the Caps.
Oh, you're telling me there's a chance, Bill?
It's like probably back to 5 like it was the other day, but there's a chance.
Yeah, I mean, we watched the first period of this game, and this was a classic. I turned over to you and was like, is this going to just not be a great game?
It was on pace to be a 2-0 Flyers loss in which they have 6 shots.
Yeah, it seemed real ugly, and then it just picked up in the second period.
Yeah.
The Flyers were just coming out like they played much better hockey in the second period. A lot of that I can actually attribute to our dear friend Tom Wilson. Tom Wilson was having a very Tom Wilson game tonight. And I'm talking like old Tom Wilson. I mean, he wasn't as dirty as he used to be, but, a lot of throwing his body around. And for once, this seems to have worked out in the Flyers' favor, where it feels like it really got the team up in arms and they were really rallying after some big hits that he laid out there.
TK scores that goal to tie the game, but it's really a shift or two later when Wilson lays him out that the game really started to get going, and the Flyers' second period was like easily their best period. So I was surprised, but delightfully surprised by kind of the way they responded to Wilson going, like looking at his team going, yeah, we're not playing great. They score the first goal, but it was kind of just an even, boring first period. And he tries to do what he does. Physicality. There's a reason every team would love a Tom Wilson.
Sure. Because he can give you that physicality while still scoring goals, and he's not like a liability like a Nick Delorier out there.
And to my surprise, the Flyers didn't shrink. They actually kind of answered. They were making sure to get back in his face.
Nick Seeler came out, I think.
Seeler challenged him.
Or third period.
I think in the start of the third, Seeler challenged him. The second ends, and Grebenkin and Couturier are both mixing it up with Tom Wilson. Game ends, Grebenkin's getting in there.
Grebby at the end of the game.
Good stuff.
That was awesome stuff. Just seeing him mixing it up, doing the old like pointing. And I forget who he was mixing it up with, but he was like pointing his way. And I don't know who said it, but whoever said "you effing nerd" at the end of that game, that was a great sound bit.
I have no idea. I just have to guess it was Travis Konecny. That just sounds like something he would yell.
Yes.
I don't know Trevor Zegras well enough, like what his chirps are, but maybe I could see him calling someone a nerd. But either way, just really good stuff. And I'm going to ask Charlie this, but the Flyers have now won 5 of 7. The story of this season, when they are 4 points out of the playoffs on April 14th, is going to be, man, if we could have just won more than 3 of 15 going into the break, this would be a playoff team. I'm not saying they would have won a round. Like I was saying, they could go to the Eastern Conference Final back in, late December, early January. But like, this would have been a playoff team if they just go 500 instead of 3-9-4.
Yeah, they were just god-awful throughout the month of January, and it completely sunk the team because they've been a pretty good team otherwise. And I feel like this has really soured everybody on this team. They've made, everybody really kind of hates this team, but there are a lot of good building blocks here, especially, we've seen glimpses of the old michkov.
A lot of them tonight.
Season. We've seen some good stuff out of the rookies like Barkey and Bump. And how about Bump, by the way?
Love it.
Bump taking that empty net shot from center ice, first chance he gets, misses by a mile. ices it. But you know what?
Two-goal game. Take your shot.
I like the tenaciousness in the kid a lot. I really like what I've seen from Bump so far. And this is a nice win for the Flyers. Did they completely poop the sheets against the Rangers? You betcha.
Oh, yeah, they did.
They came out tonight in a game that, another must win, but this was a tough matchup. Washington's been a pretty good team this year. Not as good as last year, obviously, but a pretty good team. And I would say a better team than the Flyers. So to come out, get the W tonight, it's a really nice effort. But yeah, we are going to be talking in April about how January just completely sunk this team.
Just absolutely screwed the team. And Brenna just showed you, like, they still have a lot of ground to make up. I mean, just to get the fourth, which is first team out in terms of, the top three in the division, they're still 5 points behind the Blue Jackets. And they have, same number of games played. There's only 2 games tonight. I don't think they were involved in either of them. So that was, it's still an uphill climb. They're still not going to make the playoffs unless something wild happens. Like, they rip off 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in a row, which again, they haven't had a 4-gamer since February of 2024, so it seems unlikely. But you look at it now; they have made their way back into the graphic, Steve. They have now the top 3 in the hunt we put in the graphic, and the Flyers have worked their way back in there, still trailing the Bruins by 7 points. Trailing the Isles by 8 points.
Another game tonight, it involved the Ottawa Senators, who are just above the Flyers. The Senators lost 3-2 to Montreal in regulation.
All right, so there you go. The Flyers, this stretch is just going to ruin the draft pick, as many people have stated over the last few days.
They were never going to tank.
Yeah.
We say this every year. When they tanked last year, it wasn't intentional. They just had to fire Torts. And actually, if anything, firing Torts brought them back onto the track to win again because they were playing loose and fun.
I mean, last year was more intentional in just terms of, hey, if our goalies are bad, we're going to pick high. And they were, and they did. This year, they tried to solve that problem with Dan Vladar, and he's been very good. And we're going to talk about Sam Ersson, who, again, didn't stink tonight. In fact, he hasn't been bad in his 3 recent appearances, which includes 1, relief appearance in which he stopped 3 shots, but I'm still going to count those numbers. Before we go,
officially an Ersson person now?
No. Before we go any further, I got to tell you to like, comment, and subscribe. That's right. I see the chat already popping off. We are nearing 50 likes, which is decent for the start. But hey, the Flyers won. Zegras scored. Bump first career assist. Another Drysdale goal. Let's get it to like 150 before this hour is up. And of course, if you haven't followed us here in the PHLY Sports YouTube page, what are you waiting for? Do it. Do it, damn it. So much great content, not just for the Flyers, but for all of the teams here in the city. All right, let's go back to that first period, Steve, because
it stunk.
Through 20 minutes, the Flyers trail 1-0, which is not unfamiliar territory for them.
Yeah, and my favorite stat of the night was when the broadcast showed the Capitals record when leading after 1 period. It was like 19-1-1. It's like, what does that even mean? Like, leading after the first, what do they lead like 3-0 when they lead after the first period? A 1-goal lead is nothing. So I thought that was a very funny stat. And, well, I guess it's 19-2-1.
Yeah, the funniest part, though, is the Flyers' end of this, because they have now allowed the first goal, and I'm going to update this every time because it keeps getting funnier. 44 times through 64 games, they have allowed the first goal. Now, they've won 18 of these, so it's not like they're terrible. And a lot of times, like, if you look at the trailing after 1, like, they haven't... A lot of times they tie it up in the first. They even may take the lead. But the first goal of the game is always scored. We are now at 69% nice of the time the Flyers allow the first goal. So you could say that they're always down. That might be the only 311 reference of postgame. It's the only joke I wrote down. So
the only joke you wrote down.
But the first
I don't know the catalog well enough to really dive into it. But yeah, I mean, and it's funny because when they do score the first goal, they completely just die out there. They score the first goal and they don't do anything. And I don't understand this team.
For a while, they had a really good I don't know what it is, and they never do, so I haven't really checked. Yeah. They had a really good record when scoring the first goal, but I went back and, like, at one point looked at all the box scores. They gave up the lead and then won it late or won it in overtime or a shootout like 2/3 of the time.
Yeah.
Like it was, yeah, we scored first, but we didn't like hold that lead for 3 periods. It was, and that's, it's just, it seems crazy to me. I put this in my instant reaction, Steve, and we're going to go to break after this. The Flyers, I totally forget where I'm going now. So
The
we might.
Flyers, I don't know why they have to go down. Like they're doing.
Oh,
this,
that's
like,
what it was. The Florida Panthers, who are
Yeah.
behind the Flyers in the standings.
Hey, there we go.
Through 64 games, so now same number of games played. They're behind the Flyers in the standings, even split. 32-32, leading first, trailing first. That seems normal. It seems like in a game where there's going to be 4, 5, 6, 7 goals, it's a coin flip who gets the first one, but it is not for the Flyers.
No.
They are down 1-0, again, 69% of the time.
Nice.
Unbelievable. All right, with that, we will talk to Charlie on the other side. We'll have the game changer, the unsung hero, all of that coming up, but we got to take our first break. Do we really want Matvei Michkov playing goalie? No, it's not worth the risk, the time, or the money. It doesn't make sense. You want to keep your stars focused on what they do best, and the same applies to your business. For small and mid-sized businesses competing with bigger companies, it isn't about working harder, it's about working smarter. With competition heating up, you can't afford to fall behind. AI goes way beyond ChatGPT, and it gets overwhelming fast. That's why having a trusted guide like Togo matters. Togo streamlines your operations by handling customer service, accounting, order management, logistics, admin, data entry, and even complex multi-step processes without the cost of building it all in-house. And every engagement with Togo starts with free process mapping, and Togo doesn't bill a dime until the real work begins. Programs start as low as $1,000 a month and are built to scale without breaking the bank. Visit harnesstogo.com and mention PHLY for a free operational assessment. Let me tell you about a local business that's been helping Philly homeowners and businesses stay pest-free. It's Evans Pest Control. This isn't some giant national chain. They're a family-owned, community-focused pest control company right here in the Philly area, and they've been earning the trust of our neighborhoods for years. Evans Pest Control uses state-of-the-art equipment, safe and effective treatment options, and their techs go through continuous training so they're equipped to handle anything. Rodents, insects, termites, even bed bugs. They offer priority services and consultations, which is huge when you have a problem with pests. Everybody in Philly knows pests don't knock. They just show up. That's why you need Evans. So if you see signs of pests or just want to prevent them before they start, reach out to Evans Pest Control. Visit evanspestmgmt.com to schedule your free consultations. That's Evans Pest Control at evanspestmgmt.com. Welcome back to PHLY Flyers post-game. We are here. We are awaiting Charlie to join us. He will at some point. You know, it's Charlie. He doesn't, he's never in a rush.
He plays by his own rules, Bill.
But it is time for the Unsung Hero presented by Togo. That's right, Togo, the leader in operations outsourcing. Let Togo handle the work that gets in the way of your work. You call the plays, we execute. Togo! And I gotta give tonight's Unsung Hero to Sam Ersson.
Whoa!
Listen, you look at Sam Ersson tonight, stops 21 of 22, gives up a power play goal to Ryan Leonard in the first period, and then he stops the next 15 capital shots in a row to secure the victory.
I mean, you can't ask for anything better out of Sam Ersson, who, as a guy we have given as much grief to as possible.
And that's really the reason I want to make him the unsung hero is like, listen, we rag on him all the time.
He was huge tonight.
And he was very good tonight. And it's only his second start since the break. It's his first start since February 26th. To go to his 3 starts ago, you have to go back to I think January 29th. He has not got a lot of work lately. And listen, his numbers say, as we talked about in pregame, like he shouldn't get a ton of work. He is the worst goalie by save percentage in the league and has been going back since he became a full-timer 2 seasons ago. But tonight he was very good. And this is 2 solid starts in a row for him. You put in the 3 of 3 he had the other night in relief. He is 46 of 49 for a .939 save percentage since the Olympic break. That's pretty good. Now, it does annoy the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Because, listen, we're not making the playoffs in all likelihood. So now you decide to be good after costing us the playoffs, basically, with your performances in the first 2/3 of the season.
Well,
but it is nice he gets to have some success.
And we talked about how bad that month of January was and how that's going to be really what cost the Flyers the playoffs at the end of the day. And his performance was a large part of it. You know, you're looking at, he's got Utah 5 goals against, 3 goals against with Colorado, which they won, 4 with the Islanders, 5 with the Bruins. So that was a brutal stretch, but to give him his credit, it's been 2-0-1 in his appearances since then. And he was great tonight. You know, he made some huge saves. There was a glove save late in the game, I remember. Like, he has really, like, risen to the occasion. Maybe he's a guy who just needs a ton of rest to be good, but that doesn't really help us when we have a guy like if I have Igor Shesterkin, sure. If I have Connor Hellebuyck, sure. But we have Dan Vladar.
Like, the way
this is the first time he started 30 plus games.
Yeah, the way the Rangers are able to, like, we have John Quick, who's 90 years old, because Shesterkin is going to start, all but 2 games this year. Like, sure, but Sam Ersson, we talk about that month of January, and listen, this is a pro Ersson segment, but just to contrast, in January, 9 games, 2-5-1 with an 835 and a 437 goals against.
Yeah.
He was averaging almost 4.5 goals against and stopping under 84% of the shots in 9 appearances in the month. Talk about how bad that month was. Well, there's what you put your finger on, but solid tonight, stopped 15 in a row after the power play goal. He has been good since the break. I will give this to the Ersson Persons out there.
I feel like we're going to hear from them in the Super Chat.
I have a feeling we might hear from an Ersson person or two. But here's the thing. It's good performance. It's annoying now. It's annoying that he doesn't stink when it behooves us to stink.
Behooves. I love that.
I used that right?
You did use it. I used it very good. I like that. No, like, I wish he was more consistent. I wish he was better, because I like Sam Ersson. I want him to work out, and it just hasn't been working out. But yeah, let's sing his praises tonight, especially in that third period. There was a point before the Caps pulled their goalie, when they were really putting the pressure on. The Flyers really couldn't get a change going, and Ersson stood tall. He had a really, really good game tonight.
Until he nets that empty netter. Someone who had a great case for unsung hero tonight, I thought, was Owen Tippett, Steve. Owen Tippett, I had in the outline in the question for Charlie, everything but the finish tonight, but then, he gets rewarded with that empty netter. You see, he ends up with a goal and an assist. 5 shots on goal, or
I think it's actually 6.
Might it be actually
in the box
6?
Score, so I think they gave him an extra shot somewhere.
Yeah, I have the. He's up to 6. So they count. Yeah, with that, with the empty net shot, he gets up to 6. Really solid performance, and this was one of those show the tools games that drive us nuts about him, but also make you excited when you watch everything he can do out there. Created a ton of rush chances, created the Trevor Zegras goal, using his speed after getting to that puck at the blue line, taking it, laying that pass out for him just to make sure Protas, who's like 9 feet tall, can't get to it, and Zegras finishes it. But I thought this was a really solid game, and I was happy. It would have been really cool for Bump to net that empty netter, but in terms of who earned it tonight, like, pad the stat with an empty netter, Owen Tippett absolutely earned it.
Oh, he absolutely earned it. This is a fantastic game for Owen Tippett. Just watching him generate offense in the way he did. And again, he didn't really generate goals before that empty netter, but he did have an assist. So he was just out there making exciting things happen and pushing that puck forward. There are a couple opportunities where he gets in on the net, makes a nice move, and just seeing that kind of stuff reminds you of what a great player he can be. And I know it was a tough decision to trade Bobby Brink like they did, but there was a reason that, because we talk a lot about trading Tippett as far as like the wingers to go when Martone comes in, when Forrester comes back. But this is a nice reminder of just how dynamic Owen Tippett can be for the Flyers. Where I always like Bobby Brink, but he could never, Bobby Brink maybe had 1 or 2 games where he could show us like some really good skills.
Yeah.
But he didn't have anything like what Owen Tippett can do on a night like this, where he's a huge difference maker between that size, that speed. Like, this can be a special hockey player. I wish he could do it more often, but you know what? I've kind of come to terms with that, and I think he's been more consistent this season. I really like the Owen Tippett that we've had throughout this season.
And to that point, more consistent, 21 goals now. He had 20 a season ago. So he's already surpassed, with 17 games left in the season, his goal total from last year. And if he gets hot, he can get back into that 27, 28 range where we started to expect him to be when we were like, oh, maybe he can be a 30, 35 guy. Let's see how he finishes the season. But I was really enthused by Tippett tonight, and I just looked at the fancy stats for tonight.
Ooh.
So the Zegras, Tippett, Grundstrom line plays 752 together at 5-on-5, and they have a nearly 56% expected goals percentage. So they were controlling play, and in a game where shots were 22-22 across the board, you see, even if it's, I think the shots for them and against were 5-5, but the majority of the scoring chances are on Tippett and Zegras' line.
He's been a shot machine this year, too, because I'm looking at the total shots for the team, and I don't know if this is updated. I think it's updated with today's game because he has 21. 166 shots for Owen Tippett on the season. The next closest is Trevor Zegras with 136. So 30 more shots for Tippett. And even when he's not necessarily scoring those goals, getting those shots is important because when you're playing offense, you ain't playing defense. And this is not a team that gets a lot of shots to start with. So this has really just been huge for Owen Tippett to have a season like this.
Absolutely. And you see, last year, finished the season with 188 shots on goal. And listen, we know he takes a ton of attempts, but the number was really down from the two previous years. Like the year before, he had almost 300.
Yeah.
And it seemed like he was deferring a little last year. We talk about him missing the net a lot, but he missed the net quite a bit last year. The confidence to rip the puck, and tonight a couple of times taking the puck to the net on rushes. I love seeing that. Love seeing him use his size. He has so many more hits this year than he's ever had. Yeah, he's already at 126 hits before tonight. He's just really come a long way. I don't know, and I would guess it's 50-50 right now if he gets traded this summer. But I would expect a pretty decent return for a guy with his tools, his stat line, and let's be honest, with the way the cap's going, a bargain contract.
Bargain contract. I really would not trade him unless it was for a really, really good player. Like, brings a guy you can trade for a year check and say, all right, let's see if it works out. Because Bobby Brink, as much as we like him, that's a guy who's maybe topping out with like 40-some points, 50-some points at most. Whereas Tippett, it's, again, like adding these hits, adding these shots, adding that speed. Even just like little things like getting the puck in and having the goalie freeze it so you get an offensive zone draw. Things like that are really huge. And it's just adding those little things to his game has made him feel like a more complete player.
And he's up to, what's this now? So 39 points on the season. He had 43 all of last year. Something else I really do like about Tippett is the availability.
Yes.
Games played the last few years, 77, 78, 77, and with tonight, 64 of 64. He rarely misses a ton of time, and that is, listen, I like Tyson Foerster better than I like Owen Tippett.
Sure.
But now we have the question of, can we depend on Tyson Foerster after being hurt a couple of times now in the last calendar year? Like, that's not as much of a concern with Tippett, who has larger body of work and has shown the ability to stay relatively healthy as well.
Yeah. I don't want to be that guy concerned about Tyson Foerster, but considering it's like...
It's a thing to think about.
It's a thing to think about, and the fact that it was his arm that he hurt in the offseason, and then how he got injured when the last time we saw him, where that arm just went completely limp, and he had to go off the ice, and then the amount of time missed. So yeah, there is some cause for concern. So having consistency from a guy like Tippett is really huge, and he's a guy who really you can play anywhere in the the top 9 really, and he'll fit right in.
Absolutely. On the other side, we are going to talk about tonight's game changer. I think you can probably guess who it's going to be, but hey, it's always fun to talk about this guy, effing nerds. Make sure you stay tuned and hit that like button while we're going 122. That's awesome. You know what's better? 200. You got 2 minutes to do it, starting right now. You know that moment, the one where you realize you left your favorite sunglasses at the beach, or on the roof of your car, or at a gas station 3 states away. I have been there too many times, losing sunglasses in the ocean. It got to the point where I don't want to wear my favorite glasses, and then I found Shady Rays, and they've changed the game. These sunglasses are made for real life. They're great looking, they're polarized, they're durable, and they're not crazy expensive. And the wildest part, if you lose or break them, even on day one, Shady Rays will send you a brand new pair. No guilt trip, just replacements. So now I actually wear my favorite sunglasses without fear on hikes, at concerts, on the boat, wherever. Shady Rays is eyewear that has your back. So go to shadyrays.com and use code PHLYSR for 40% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Again, that's shadyrays.com with code PHLYSR for 40% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. All right, it's time to tell you about the game-changing deals at Elkin Chevrolet, because Elkin Chevrolet, it's run by 3 brothers. They're real brothers, they're local guys, and yup, they are big Flyers fans, which means you know they have a ton of loyalty. And right now at Elkin Chevrolet, they're putting on a President's Day sales event where the deals are bigger and better than ever. If you're in need of a truck, they've got it. If you're looking for an SUV, they have that too. And every vehicle comes with the kind of service that makes you feel like you're a part of their family. But don't wait. These President's Day deals are only here for a very short time. So swing by Elkin Chevrolet. It's on Route 73 South in Marlton, New Jersey, and get in on the deals that are just plain honkin' good. Elkin Chevrolet, real brothers, real deals, and a whole lot of honkin' good service. Elkin Chevy, together let's drive, and together let's go Flyers. Welcome back, and what great timing by Philly's #1 hockey beat writer, Charlie O'Connor, joining us live on the Xfinity Mobile call-in line. Chuck, what'd you think of that one?
Not a lot to complain about in that one. I really thought the big difference, and I think I tweeted this out, the big difference between the two teams, because I thought overall, in terms of, territorial play, in terms of shots and whatnot, pretty even game. But the big difference was the Flyers, and I've said this over the last, few months, really dating back to like November, the Flyers actually now do have some legitimate high-end talent. Travis Konecny is a high-end player. He's not an elite player. He's not a superstar, but he is a high-end player. He can make skill plays. Trevor Zegras is a very skilled player. And then when Owen Tippett is playing his best, he is also a high-end player. The Flyers' high-end players showed up and made plays. And the Capitals' high-end players did not show up and did not make plays. And that was the difference, because to me, it was those 3 guys. You can maybe add Jamie Drysdale into there. I thought he had a really good game as well. Obviously gets the goal. I thought he was good in addition to that. But really, it's those 3 forwards: Zegras, Tippett, Konecny. Those are your 3 best forwards. Really, the only guy who I'm not mentioning in terms of high-skill guys is Michkov. It's really those 4. Those are your 4 high-skill forwards. 3 of their 4 high-skill forwards had really big games. That's why the Flyers win it.
Charlie, we were talking at the top of the show. They keep their playoff hopes somewhat alive. They move in terms of total points ahead of the Capitals now in the Metro Division standings. Still have a huge hill to climb. But really, you see they've won 5 of 7 now. Is the story of this season going to be, man, if we could have just won more than 3 of 15 heading into the break, we'd be in the playoffs?
Yeah, I very well could be. And we'll see how the rest of the season goes. They still got more than enough time to rattle off another 5 or 6 game losing streak. So I don't want to wrap up the season yet. We've got 18 games to go. But if they continue like this, and we talked about it on our last show in studio, I think really all that's happened since the Olympic break is they're just going back to who they are, which is not an elite team, not a great team, but like a slightly above 500 team. I think that's what they are, and they're back to that. Now, for the first 3 months of the season, they probably were overachieving a little bit. But if you looked at their underlying numbers spoke to a team that is, about 500, a mid team, not a bad team, not a great team, a mid team. Then sometime in the beginning of January through the beginning of February, they just lost their heads and they started playing bad hockey. They were making mistakes. They were blowing coverages on the back door. Obviously the Dan Vladar injury didn't help, but that wasn't the only part of the story. As a whole, the team flopped. Then they get the break. They get a chance to reset. Now they're right back to what they are true talent-wise, which is a team that true talent-wise probably should be in the playoff mix. Not necessarily making the playoffs, but not necessarily definitely missing the playoffs either. They're a team where, hey, if they come through with the right wins against the right teams, they could make the playoffs. January killed them. And look, maybe they go on a crazy run and they make the playoffs, and the final 4 weeks of the year are very exciting. But it really does seem like this is like you're going to have this debate. What are they? They're not a great team, but they're not a bad team. They are this. They are a middle of the pack team, and there are like 14 middle of the pack teams. So how are the 6 out of the 4, like 6 middle of the pack teams out of 14 are probably going to make the playoffs. The Flyers could have been one of those 6, but probably they blew their chance to be one of those 6 by doing what they did in January. Now they're back to playing their true talent level, which is of a middle of the pack team.
Charlie, tonight's unsung hero was Sam Ersson. Stopped 15 straight after allowing the only goal he gave up in the first period. Since the Olympic break, he has stopped 46 of 49 for a .939. Time to ride Ersson?
Well, no. Let's not get carried away here, William. But it is nice to see that he is playing better. I thought he was good in this game. I didn't think he had to face a ton of super high quality shots. Like, he's not the number one star of this game because he only gave up 1 goal, but he was a major contributing factor. He had a couple of really nice saves on Tom Wilson. Wilson had a breakaway in the second period. He stops him. Then he had a big stop on Wilson right after the Drysdale goal. Like, it's 3-1, but if Wilson scores right there, then it's 3-2, and who knows how the rest of the game plays out. He makes a big stop there. Ersson was, I would say, all around solid. He had a solid game. He was a solid goaltender for the Flyers. And too many times this year, he has not been solid. He has been actively poor. If he can go back to being solid, like, I don't know if this changes his future in Philadelphia. Like, I think the Flyers have more or less made up their mind that they're probably going to go a different route for the other goalie in the tandem with Dan Vladar. But I think this certainly would go a long way towards helping his chances of picking up another job in the NHL, where he's not a number 3. Instead, maybe a team will sign him to be their number 2, to be their backup, and then see what happens. I'm happy for Ersson. Ersson's a great guy. There's a reason why everybody in that room likes him. He's been a really, really good guy to cover. I've enjoyed covering him, so I want to see him do well. He hasn't done well for most of this year. If he's starting to figure it out, that's great. And it's great for the Flyers, too, because it means they don't have to run Dan Vladar into the ground the final 6 weeks of the year.
Wouldn't that be nice? Now, Charlie, you brought up Tom Wilson, who really tried to, bring the physicality throughout this game, really tried to make himself a factor. He was even like kind of throwing a fit on the bench at certain points about the Caps not showing up for this game. But I thought the Flyers really did a nice job of answering back to him, even without having like a Delorier or something in the lineup. And Sealer got in his face at one point also. So what did you think about the Flyers answering back on a force like Tom Wilson tonight?
Yeah, I mean, Sealer was certainly involved. Konecny takes that big hit. Everybody jumps on him afterwards, jumps on Wilson. There was another time where Konecny invariably ended up at the bottom of the scrum like he is wont to do. But one guy who I want to point out who I thought did a really good job, not just against Wilson, but against everybody, Nikita Gurbenkin. I think this was a game for Gurbenkin where, I look at Gurbenkin and I see a guy who I want to be part of this. I like his skill set. I like how he works below the goal line. I like the playmaking ability. But I also think to myself, like, okay, where does he fit? What's he going to be on the next good Flyers team, the next great Flyers team? And I always come back to, I think he ultimately is a really good fourth liner. He's an energy fourth liner who brings skill to the table, scores more points than your average fourth liner. You can move him up the lineup if he's having a really good game, but he's playing on the fourth line most of the time. I think he played a game tonight that is the kind of game I want him playing in 4 years if he's still on this team and this team is a playoff team. Because I loved how often he was just laughing at people. Like, there would be scrums and they try to get under his skin and he would just laugh in their face. It was amazing. And you could see it from all the way up in the press box. I'm sure you guys could see it on the broadcast.
Oh, the broadcast was pointing it out repeatedly.
Yes.
He had to have been infuriating the Capitals because they're trying to goad him into doing something stupid. They're trying to goad him into losing his cool. And instead, he's just giving him that big grin. Like, it was amazing to watch. And like, that's maybe what he can bring, a unique quality that he can bring on the fourth line where, yeah, he's a better playmaker than your average fourth liner. He has more skill than your average fourth liner, but he also can be, a little bit of an S-star. Tonight he was. I feel like that's something we haven't seen a lot from him thus far at the NHL level, but he showed tonight he can do that. And now it's like, well, you showed it to me once. I want to see more of it, Nikita. But that was exciting to me because it was like, this is the role I think you can play on a really good Flyers team. Now I want to see you develop into a guy who does that, every third game rather than every 30th game.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of times this year. He can scrap when he's had opportunities. He's made a few plays when he's up in the top 9, but in order for him to be a consistent player, this is who, like, consistent NHL in the lineup every night guy, even if it's on the fourth line, this is just who he has to be. Owen Tippett, speaking of guys who have shown consistency more so this year, gets to 21 goals, nets that empty netter. I just thought that was a great reward for a strong game from Tippett. Has the assist on the Zegras goal. What did you think of Tippett tonight?
Yeah, he was the best player on the ice. I don't think it was even a question. And all the guys in the locker room, they were all asked about Owen Tippett's performance, and they were like speaking of him in hushed tones. They were in awe of Owen Tippett, basically to a man. Trevor Zegras was talking about the 2-on-0, and he basically said something to the extent of Tippett gets tripped midway through that 2-on-0, and he's still skating faster than I am. It's wild how good this guy is when he's playing his best. Like, he just takes over games. He can believe. I think he finished with like 5 or 6 breakaways.
Yeah.
And most of them were breakaways that he created by himself purely with the speed. It wasn't like, he was waiting in the neutral zone for a pass. He just blew right by guys. And I guess this is the frustrating point for some fans, because you watch him do this tonight and it's like, well, why doesn't he do this every night? It's really hard to do this against NHL teams. It's hard to look this good. Not everyone is Connor McDavid, but man, you watch these games and look, I know why he's in trade talks. I know why, the Flyers are looking at their wing depth chart and they're like, well, we got to move somebody and he's got real value. I get it. And maybe the right move ultimately is to trade Owen Tippett to finally get some quality top 6 centers into the mix on the depth chart. But man, if they trade him, I'm going to miss him, because he is a fun freaking player to watch. And on a team where they don't really have a lot of speed outside of Travis Konecny and him, I mean, it's a loss they would feel. Like, look, I get why a lot of people, and I probably share this opinion, like, would prioritize Tyson Forrester over Owen Tippett. Tyson Forrester is, I think, the better play driver. He's the better detail player. But Tyson Forrester is not a fast skater. And if you pick Owen Tippett over Tyson Forrester and you trade Tippett and you keep Forrester, like, man, you're kind of putting yourself in a position where, unless the center you get back in that deal, or unless the defenseman you get back in that deal is really fast, you've put yourself in a position where you're probably going to be a slow team. Tippett at least gives you that dynamic of high-end elite level speed, and he showed tonight what it can do.
Man, I think it's 50-50 right now if Tippett does get traded, because all things in life, as we know, are 50-50. I just so badly want to see Luchenko and Tippett on a line together, and how teams have to combat that speed and what kind of room it creates out there. But we'll see how the offseason goes for Tippett. Someone else I want to talk about, Charlie, Jamie Drysdale, because he's got 7 goals on the season. He matches his career high that he set last year, but he's got 4 in his last 10 games. Do you credit this to, well, they were going to start going in, or the work he's been doing? You've said they've been trying to, okay, we think you have the part we had to break you down to build back up down, and now it's about finding some of that dynamic skill. He's been putting up goals and points lately. What do you credit that to?
Well, I credit to hard work. He's been working so hard on his shot. He's been putting in extra time at practice. And look, Jamie Drysdale is an exciting player, man. And one thing that I thought was really impressive about this game is he was bad on Monday. And look, a lot of guys were bad on Monday. He was brutal on Monday. He was directly at fault for 2 of the goals. He gets worked physically on 2 of the Rangers goals. He had a bad game. And he shakes it off and delivers a performance like this, where even aside from the goal, I thought he was really good all around in this game. It tells me that he has that short memory. He can have that short memory that, defensemen, goalies, cornerbacks in football, they all need to have. Defensemen need to have a short memory. He had a short memory. He shook that bad game off and had a really good performance. But, going back to why I think he's so exciting, this is a guy who, and I was talking with one of my friends up in the press box today during the game about Jamie Drysdale, and I was like, you got to realize, when they traded for this guy, he was bad. He was not a good NHL defenseman in any way. He wasn't good at anything. He wasn't good at breaking a forecheck. He wasn't good at defending. He wasn't good at recognizing coverages and switches. He wasn't that good offensively either, which was his calling card. He just wasn't doing much. He was a good skater, and he was raw, and he had some tools, but that was about it. And what did he do? He worked his tail off. He worked so hard behind closed doors and improved parts of his game, specifically the defense, that I never thought he was going to get this good at. And what's exciting to me about that is, okay, he put in the work. He put in so much work that he improved his defensive game, which most people didn't think he could ever improve. Now all he has to do is improve the part of his game that was always supposed to be his calling card. If he can do that, I mean, I don't know, man. Like when they traded for this guy, we were like, well, they think he could be a first pair defenseman. And then he had those 2 years and we all kind of just wrote him off. It's like, well, maybe if he works really hard, he could be a decent second pair guy. Well, he's a decent second pair guy now. Now you're kind of wondering, like, I don't know if he works on his shot and becomes a power play guy and he's scoring, 12 goals a season. Maybe he can be a first pair guy. Like with Jamie Drysdale, it's kind of like, I don't know what the ceiling is, but I'm fascinated to find out because it seems like when he puts his mind to and works on something really hard, he fixes it. That's what I've seen thus far is with him as a Flyer. And now it's just like, okay, well, when's he going to stop fixing things? And when is he just going to become a really, really good hockey player? It might not be that far away.
Only 5 points away from his career high right now.
Yeah, and he did that in 81 games. Tonight was game 61 for him. So, still some time to go to get to that career high. Yeah. All right, Chuck. I don't think I need to keep you to talk a ton about Noah Powell because we had enough stuff to actually talk about from the game. So it's time for Charlie O'Connor's 3 stars of the game. Chuck, who is star number 3?
Yeah, star number 3, I'm giving this to Sam Ersson. I thought it was a solid game, but I think one thing that's important to remember about Sam Ersson, I believe that if they didn't think, because Rick Taka straight up admitted this morning, because I asked him this after the morning skate, like, do you think Dan Vladar was a bit gassed? And he basically said, yeah, he'll never admit it, but I'm pretty sure he's a bit gassed. I think the plan originally was to go Vladar in this game, and they watched him play on Monday, and they just decided we can't. Like, we need to give him the extra day. He's clearly a bit gassed. So instead, they had to go with Ersson for what is the more important of the back-to-backs.
Yeah.
Like this was the more important of the 2 games because number 1, it's a Metro team. Number 2, it's a team you're battling with in playoff race. And number 3, this is the game you had a real chance at winning. Like tomorrow is a schedule loss. If they can get a point out of tomorrow's game, that's a win because you're playing against a team that's better than you. You're playing on the road. You're playing the second game of the back-to-back with travel, and they're a rested team. You should lose tomorrow's game. This is the game you had to win, knowing that you're probably going to lose tomorrow's game. And suddenly you have to go with Sam Ersson, the guy with the worst save percentage in hockey this year, I believe, going into this game. Maybe not still. I don't know how far behind he was the second to last.
Depends on the splits. If you go 15 starts, he's tied with Aiden Hill. If you bump it up to 20, he is well ahead in terms of worst of Jordan Bennington.
Okay, well, there you go. So suddenly a game where you're going into it thinking, well, we have to win this because we're probably going to lose the next game. Then you're going with maybe the worst goalie in hockey by the numbers, and he delivers a performance like this. This was a step up performance by Sam Ersson. I give him 3rd star because I don't think he had to face a ton of high quality shots. But look, there have been plenty of games this year where he hasn't had to face a ton of high quality shots, and it hasn't mattered. Tonight, he did his job. He did it well, and he's 3rd star.
Who is star number 2?
Yeah, star number 2, I'm giving it to Travis Konecny. He scores that big goal, but I just thought that he was like the straw that stirred the drink. He is, I forget who said it in the locker room, it was one of the guys, it might have been Drysdale, called him the heartbeat of the team. And that's true. Yeah. Like he's the energy of this team. And this is a game where the Flyers played with a lot of energy. It was a physical game, it was a chippy game, and Travis Konecny was the guy who dragged them into the fight, and he scores a big goal. I really like that goal because you could tell that Logan Thompson was like expecting a high shot and instead Konecny shoots low. I just thought that was like a goal scorer's goal. It's one of those like, I'm out thinking you because I know this is what you think I'm going to do, so I'm going to do the opposite. It basically just looked like Logan Thompson got all twisted up. It almost reminded, like, how like sometimes a hitter looks really bad swinging at a pitch because he completely picks the wrong pitch. Like he thinks a curveball is going to be a slider and just like looks like a total idiot. I thought Logan Thompson looked like that because he was just expecting a totally different shot than the one he got. And he looked awful. He looked totally out of position. And again, that's a goal scorer's goal. That's outthinking a goalie. And Travis Konecny, often will not be confused for a high-thinking player, but I think he's smarter than he gets credit for. Travis Konecny, 2nd star.
Always keep the expectations low. That's what I've always said. He always, because he always seems to shoot one spot. Tries to place it between the glove and the pad when the goalie is down. And it seemed like maybe he was expecting, okay, I'm going to be able to glove this. And then all of a sudden, it was like a Trevor Zegras shootout where he's just like, I don't even know what to do. Maybe he'll miss. And he just got twisted around. No, I love that. And he scores on his birthday. We cashed that anytime goal on
Happy birthday,
3-11
Travis.
day. All right, Charlie, who was tonight's first star?
Yeah, it's Owen Tippett. He was unreal. And we talked about him a few minutes ago, but he popped in this game. I would say that I'm sure it was noticeable on the broadcast. It was unbelievably obvious in person that every time he was on the ice, not only were Flyers players looking to get him the puck, but like the Capitals were like looking over their shoulders thinking, oh, we're 74. He was scary tonight. And it was so nice to see him get that that empty net goal. Number one, because he just deserved it. But number two, selfishly, like I was going to give him first star anyway. And it would have been weird. Like, oh, you gave first star to a guy with 1 assist. That's odd. But he was the best player on the ice. He gets the goal. Suddenly I don't look stupid at all. Suddenly it's like, well, yeah, he had a goal and an assist. He was great. Obvious first star selection. Owen Tippett was so good in this game. To me, clear cut first star.
If it couldn't have been Bump, who takes that from center ice and misses by a lot, I was happy. I was happy to see Tippett because he earned getting a goal in this game, whether a goalie was in the net or not. All right, that is Charlie O'Connor on the Xfinity Mobile call-in line. He will be live in studio with us tomorrow for pre and post game against those Minnesota Wild. We look forward to that one, Chuck. Until then, take it easy.
I will try. Bye, guys.
All right. Later, Chuck. All right. On the other side, we have a lot to get to in like the last 13 minutes or so of the show. Game changer, big deal, all your super chats. Stay tuned. Have you ever had one of those days where you're moving nonstop and suddenly you realize you forgot to eat? Happens to me all the time, and that's why I love what Wawa is doing right now, because Wawa has $5 deals all day, and honestly, it just makes life easier. If you're starting early, you can grab the $5 big breakfast meal deal. We're talking a breakfast sandwich, a hash brown, at any size hot or iced coffee. That's a full morning win for $5, available from 5 to 11 a.m. Then later in the day, the value keeps rolling with a crispy chicken sandwich created your way, starting at just $5. And they've even got new teriyaki recipes for a limited time. It's real food, real value, and built for busy days. No planning, no overthinking. Just swing in, grab what you need, and keep it moving. Start your day strong and fuel up whenever you need with Wawa's $5 deals. Limited time, exclusions apply. See Wawa.com for details. Gotta have a Wawa. You know, tax season is funny because it's one of the only times all year people actually look at their full financial picture. You see what you made, what you spent, what you saved, and sometimes you're sitting there thinking, wait, where did all that go? Now you can simplify your finances with Monarch. Monarch is the all-in-one personal finance tool designed to make your life easier. It helps you so you can actually see where your money's going and where something like a tax refund could actually make the biggest impact, whether that's paying down debt or building up savings. What I like is Monarch actually helps you stay proactive. Their AI Insights tool highlights spending trends and patterns you might miss, and the weekly recap keeps you updated on things like spending spikes, changes in your net worth, or upcoming expenses. Achieve your financial goals for good with Monarch, the all-in-one tool that makes money management simple. Use code PHLY at monarch.com for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code PHLY. It's time for tonight's Game Changer, driven by Elkin Chevrolet. Elkin Chevy, together, let's drive. We were going to get to this before Charlie, and Charlie stole a lot of our thunder with it, but it's TK. It is Travis Konecny. On his 29th birthday, he ties the game at 1 with his second period goal. He gets laid out by Tom Wilson, and that really seemed to galvanize the team, as the hockey analysts love to say, galvanize.
Oh, they love galvanize.
Oh, it's the best. I don't even really know. I don't even think I know what it means.
That's something to do with metal, I think. Yeah.
But he has his 24th goal of the season. That matches last season's total, again, with 18 games to go. It is his 4th straight season with at least 24 goals. He's hit that number 7 times in 10 seasons. It's TK. Charlie called him the straw that stirs the drink. Jamie Drysdale was like, yeah, he's He's the heartbeat of our team, and that's exactly who Travis Konecny is.
He's the Jerk Store's all-time bestseller. He's TK. He's our guy, you know? He's out there. He's the spark plug on this team. And the big thing is he's the guy who leads by example. Sean Couturier can't do that anymore. He's just incapable physically of doing that. So you need a guy with a letter on his chest to lead by example, and that's always Travis Konecny. Does it again tonight, changes the game, gets them in position to win that game.
Absolutely. And now, Steve, you know, it's not just 311 day.
What else is it?
It's also Wawa Wednesday, and it's time for the big deal brought to you by Wawa. Celebrate with Wawa's $5 deals, starting with the big breakfast meal deal. Any coffee, any breakfast sizzly, and a hash brown for just $5 every day from 5 to 11 a.m. at your local Wawa. The big deal, as once again, something Charlie stole our thunder on, how exciting the potential for Jamie Drysdale to be finding his offensive game truly is. 4 goals, 6 points in his last 10 games. Now, I don't know if he's going to become a guy who has 6 points every 10 games. That would be a lot, but it would be a really excellent way for this trade to have shaken out after, you know, we're watching Cutter Gauthier have a 30-plus goal season, and the way we had to deal with some Drysdale injuries, and like those first 2 games where he joined the team, it was like, yo, this guy's electric, and then we deal with some injuries, and it's, oh, is the offense ever going to come around?
And then it was flat out, this guy stinks.
Slowly but surely, we saw him build up to, okay, he's a decent top 4 defenseman. Now, if this offense can be somewhat consistent, damn, man, we got a real nice player on our hands.
Yeah, man, if he can get those 35-plus points each season, like, that's a really nice force to have on defense. What I really like is that confidence he has taking those shots right now. Tonight, he pulls that shot back from the defender, gets in the right position, has a killer shot, and he's done that a couple times now, his last couple goals. So if he can continue playing good, confident offensive hockey like this, we have a very special player.
Yeah, absolutely we do, Steve. We have like 500 people watching right now. There ain't no reason we're not at 200 likes as we make our way to the Super Chats. And that was the Wawa Big Deal. Make sure you take advantage of that big breakfast deal. Sizzly.
Do it.
Any coffee, hash brown, 5 to 11 a.m., just $5. Do it. Why wouldn't you?
Great breakfast.
All right. Timbo Slice leads it off with an all caps super chat. Why not us?
Why
TK
not?
all day, baby. Trevor Zegras continues to be a top contributor, and Jamie is still better. Hashtag Ersson Pearson. Hashtag Bumpy Road. And hashtag love you, PHLY.
We didn't even get to talk about what a great goal Zegras had on like that weird 2-on-0 that quickly turned into a 2-on-1 with Tippett.
I wasn't really sure how to describe it in the instant because like Protus is there, but they're like a step ahead of him.
Yeah.
But also his reach is like half the length of the ice.
And they were passing back and forth like that right in front of the net.
Such a like. Usually the idea, like, spread the goalie out, like, make him, if you're going to go back and forth, make him move. And this was, like, right next to each other, 3 passes. And the last one, Zegras, that he just lays out there, Tippett lays out there for Zegras, was real nice for him to then go bar down just for funsies.
Oh, yeah. You got to love that Zegras shot, man. That has a guy who can lift the puck right there.
And now he is, where is he? 22nd goal of the season. He scored 23 in 75 games in 2021-22, 23 in 81 games in 2022-23. Something tells me he at least gets to his career high in a much less time than usual.
I traded Ryan Paling for that.
I think so.
Yeah.
All right. R Park weighs in. Grabenkin has that flyer in him.
Yeah.
He does. He is a guy I want to see more of. And like Charlie said, need to see more consistency. But damn, do I enjoy watching him when he's like playing his game, because he is an S-stirrer. We've seen him fight a few times. He can absolutely handle himself. I just need a little more.
I like when a guy goes full Joker out there tonight, and he went full Joker.
100%. Yeah. When you can laugh in their face, that is absolutely going to draw some penalties. And that's for a fourth liner. If you're going to play that physical game and maybe there's something more to you offensively, you can contribute. But if you can put your team on the power play in your limited minutes,
yeah,
that's a nice attribute to have.
Good Fight Club energy.
Yes. All right. Timbo again says, Brenna appreciation tax. We always appreciate Brenna. I am glad people pay the tax.
Best in the biz.
Deedle Nick weighs in with, is it me or do NHL coaches seem like they're rapidly balding through the years?
Tough job.
Yeah. I wonder, like, There are a ton of bald NHL coaches.
Oh my God, Pittsburgh
No
I
one-
think has 3 coaches.
Well, there were those
that
3
are as bald as-
doppelgangers,
Yes.
yeah, on the bench the other day.
I think sometimes they like will try to confuse you and they'll just like switch themselves up. Like
One
yeah,
gets tossed out of the game. It's like, which one did you
which
throw
one
out?
did you throw out? There's only one way to tell.
It's like the twin magic in WWE.
I was also thinking of the fake Dean on Community.
The fake Dean.
Fake Dean.
I want to see a coach like go to the Barry Melrose. Like, let's see one mulleted coach.
Yes.
There's just so little. Like, they would get harassed out of a job. They would absolutely, like, they would have the fun beaten out of them to the point where it's like, I don't even want to coach it.
I don't want you around you.
No, it would be like a story.
Yeah.
This guy has long hair.
Oh.
Like, meanwhile, like, flashback to the 80s.
Yeah.
Like,
They all had glorious mullets.
Yeah.
It was a great thing. And now they're all bald.
they are.
Pittsburgh's got 16 bald coaches. What's going on?
All right, our old pal Mellerman joins the chat. Says finishing in the muddy middle isn't necessarily bad if it's because of the young players, not the past their prime vets who won't be here in 2 to 3 years. And that is, I think, something we always have to remember. Like, the mushy middle Giroux era was, we have Giroux and Voracek, and then, like, you know, Simmons has a couple of prime seasons where he breaks 30. He comes
Ghost
along.
comes in.
Ghost comes up. But it's basically just 2 great players, and that's it.
And Couture.
Dragging. And Coots breaks out eventually. That's in, like, his first big year's 2018.
But when Coots breaks out, they literally had one line.
Yes, it was just that line.
Yeah.
That was the ceiling of those teams.
Yeah.
2 to 4 really good to great players dragging them to the middle. If this is a mushy middle team and you go, listen, Michkov had a bad year. Trevor Zegras just got here. We don't even really know what position he plays yet. Like,
Jamie
PK
Drysdale
still
on the
doing,
way
like
up.
Jamie Drysdale on the way up. Martone not here yet. Forster hasn't played since December 1st.
And he was having a career year.
There
before
is
he went down.
he had 10 goals when he goes out. There's a reason to believe the ceiling could potentially be higher, but also, like, Danny has more work to do.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Yeah.
But it is different than that to me. Like, the
It's a much younger
14
team.
the 14 to 18 team that was a mushy middle team is different than this one, because that was it. You had 2 guys in their prime who were awesome and very little other help.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
All right.
Stuff like this is encouraging.
Yes. Next one here is from Turbo Flyers. I wonder if this is Owen Tippett. Turbocharge time. I just love JJ always.
Who are you talking about?
Turbocharge.
It's Turbo Bird.
All right. Shutout watch for game 71 versus Chicago, 81 versus Carolina. Been shutout games 21, 51, 61. I don't know what any of this means.
Sure.
Okay.
He'll probably get shut out again.
I'm sure they will be shut out at some point. They don't score very often.
Yeah.
They have a lot of streaky guys and no one who ever just really takes over a game other than Owen
They have,
Tippett.
like,
And
under 25 shots like every game. At this point.
well under 25 most of the time.
It's awesome.
They got to 34 the other night. It was like, wow, what a night. And it was like, this was their worst game of the last 2 weeks.
It's great.
All right. JH here weighs in, says, Tom Wilson's behavior says a lot about his upbringing. You might say some choice words about her mother and her parentage. I would never, but you could. I think I would kill for Tom Wilson. I would.
Oh, Tom Wilson.
He's one of my favorite players in the league.
We did way back when, during the old pandemic there, we used to do these Fly Purpley Under Quarantine episodes, and you joined us for a whole episode on what we called Flyerish non-flyers.
Yes.
And I
do remember that. Yes.
And I believe Tom Wilson's name came up quite a bit in that.
Well, he's the perfect hockey player. Like, I just love him so much. Would just love a guy who can score 30 goals, punch you in the face, make you feel like you hate him, but you can't. What are you gonna do? Fight him? He's gonna beat you up. Like,
and he's also now mastered the art of hitting guys just dirty enough that it looks clean. Then, like, it's like,
he has cut down on the overtly dirty stuff, and he's still a physical force out there.
He's knocking guys out for the season, but it's like, it was a clean hit.
And he's cut down. He's cut down. Let's try to at least get the next question in before overtime. JH says, we have Connor McDavid at home, Charlie O'Hockey. Listen, no one thinks Owen Tippett is Connor McDavid. What Charlie's saying is, if he played that way every night, that's impossible unless you are Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. Like, you saw in the broadcast, they were showing he skated, like, he had a burst of like 23 or 24 miles an hour tonight. Like, he's incredible.
Insanely fast. Like, he is the fastest flyer I have ever seen, and I don't think it's close.
I think it's really important. Like, just to think, like, how good must McDavid be to be
That
150% better than Owen Tippett, who's an excellent hockey player? You know, like Owen Tippett is one of the 1% of hockey players who've ever lived, and he's nowhere near Connor McDavid. All right, with that, we got to hit overtime. Go to allphly.com to finish up tonight's show. All right, next one here is from Obi-Wan, weighs in, says, Alberta accent, Ziggy Bar down, filthy buddy, ooh. Yeah, he is...
Ziggy Bar down.
Yeah,
I can't do an Alberta accent.
I'm not trying any accents anymore. I'll get canceled.
That's it, folks. Good night and good hockey.
That's the show. All right. But that goal, like the finish, the whole play by Tippett, excellent. And the finish, just like, because he reeks of style.
Yes.
Trevor Zegras. Next one is JH. Harrison Pearson's ride. There's room on the bus.
I don't trust that bus.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be Vladar tomorrow, but I wouldn't mind if suddenly he played more than 3 out of 12, which is what he's doing right now.
The exhaust coming out of that bus is smelly in a way I don't like.
I also got to say, I expect him to give up 5 in his next start because that's what he's shown us.
The transmission on that bus is dragging on the street.
You're seeing it. It's cutting.
Smarks.
All right. Next one's Timbo. Hey, Bill, do you like chocolate milk with your PB&J? Also, PB&J on bread or Uncrustable? I have never had it Uncrustable.
I've never had one either.
It was actually a couple of years ago for a Royal Rumble. We always go to one of my friends' houses. This year, my buddy Evan, a couple of years ago, my buddy Evan hosts. Not a chip, not a pizza, nothing, no food. Halfway through the event, we're like, what the hell, dude? You're hosting. You didn't get a pizza? We see him reach into his hoodie pocket and pull out an Uncrustable and starts trying to eat it without us noticing. And now I hate Uncrustables because of that, but I never had one. But chocolate milk's excellent.
What a terrible... Yeah, chocolate milk is A+, but yeah.
I'm calling you out, Evan.
Yeah.
He's a Devils fan, too. Grow up.
Stinks.
All right, and last one here from JH, Brenna laugh tax. If it wasn't for Brenna's laugh, I wouldn't know if my jokes are landing or not.
It's true. Dead silence over here.
And that is all the time we get for you on PHLY Flyers post-game. Thank you all for listening. Thanks for hanging out. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Follow us right here on the PHLY Sports YouTube. Charlie and I will be with you for pre and post tomorrow for the Wild game. Follow us on Twitter at PHLY_Flyers. Follow the podcast as well. And while you're at it, check out Flyperbole with Steve Jaco. Oh, they're back.
Oh.
Finally got Quigs to record.
I did.
All right. Until tomorrow, I am Bill. That is Steve. Thank you to Brenna. Be excellent to each other.
We all silly like the mayor.